Happy New Year's, everybody. Welcome back to a new episode of What I Watched, this time covering everything that I watched in the month of January 2024. I watched an insane amount of films. A lot of these, I'm going to say now, are short films or clips. I've been going back and trying to find every single piece of film that I could possibly find, going back as far as the 1860s. So from 1865 up to 1904, I've watched every single clip ever that I could find. I've just been looking and looking and looking. So with a lot of these, I don't think I'm going to go into too much detail just because they are a couple second clips or 7 minutes or 10 minutes here and there. And it would seriously make this specific episode an hour long. So let's get into it. I've already talked too long. First up is Life of Pi. My dad has been trying to get me to watch this movie basically ever since it came out. He's always said, you got to see Life of Pi. You got to see Life of Pi. And whenever I'd be like, I'm looking for a movie to watch, he'd say Life of Pi. And I'd be like, yeah, got it on my list. And after it came out in 2012, so 12 years later, I finally watched Life of Pi, and it was totally not for me. I think at the time, it was probably a super gorgeous film. The graphics still look great, but just with how far technology has advanced, how good things look nowadays, it doesn't necessarily compare. I will say there's a twist in the film. I'm not going to spoil it, but I did see it coming a mile away. I don't know what it was. I could probably go through my text and figure out what moment specifically I figured out this thing was going on. And yeah, it was fine. It's fine. After that, The Roost from 2005. This is Ty West's directorial debut. I've been watching all of his films just leading up to the release of Maxine later this year. Finishing off that X trilogy, X, Pearl, and Maxine. I seriously cannot wait for Maxine. It is my most anticipated film of 2024. After that, we got Cabin Fever 2, Spring Fever. Another Ty West film. It's not for me. I think the opening sequence is actually a perfect follow-up to the end of Cabin Fever. I wouldn't watch the rest of this film, but if I were to watch Cabin Fever again, I would want to watch Cabin Fever as well as the first 10 to 15 minutes of this film, because the continuation of the first film I think is hilarious and dark, and it's gross, but it's funny. It's good dark comedy. After that, we got Trigger Man, which I don't really remember much about. It was another Ty West kind of really, really early on directorial debut, so I don't remember much about this. I won't watch it again. Out of Ty West's earlier films, which one would I rewatch? It would probably be The Roost. Anyone But You from 2023, Glenn Powell, Sydney Sweeney. Yikes, this movie is rough. It's not that they do anything wrong, it's just that it's a rom-com that was written for 2002. This reminds me of The Wedding Planner, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, those types of movies. And it's not that those types of movies are bad, it's just that the writing here specifically just feels really dated. After that, watch Spy Kids. This movie's insane. Who let Robert Rodriguez get away with thumb thumbs and basically everything about this movie? It is a wild, wild kids film, and I love it, and we all should. After that, Sweeney Todd, The Demon Barber of Fleet Street, another movie that my dad's told me to watch over the years, and I thought I would really appreciate it because I like some musicals, but I really, really like horror, and so I thought it was going to be a great mix-up, mashup. There's some gross kills, some gnarly, bloody sequences, but it's just not a story for me. Also, very predictable. I'm going to combine these next three. We got Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Leatherface, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, and The Return of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Those are from 1986, 1990, and 1995. I am going through the entire Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise because I've never seen them all before. I've seen the original, I own the original, and I love that film. I'll say right now, I will not own any of the other films. They're not they're not good. There's some cool elements, I would say, in each film. Like most films, period, have something that audience members can get out of them, obviously, because Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 does have a huge fan base, but not me. Moving after that, we got The Passenger 2023, which is Kyle Gallner. This is a wild film, a dark film. Did not expect it to take the turn that it did in the very beginning. I did expect the film to end the way that it ended once the first act twist happens. So this first act twist happens, and then I'm like, okay, by the end of the film, it's going to lead up to this. And it did, but it works really, really well. All right, here's where we get into old short films and things like that. So I might talk about the years of these. Let's just go. We got The Big Swallow, 1901, Falling Cat, 1894, Edison Kinetoscopic Record of Sneeze, 1894, Boxing Cats, 1894, Dixon Experimental Sound Film, 1894, Rabbits, 1893, Horseshoeing, 1893, Barbershop, 1893, Blacksmith Scene, 1893, Man on Parallel Bars, 1892, Fencing, A Handshake, Bark sur la Mer, 1891, Two Fencers. I should stop now and say most of these are exactly what it sounds like. You've got Man on Parallel Bars. You've got Blacksmith Scene. It's just footage of day-to-day life. It wasn't real storytelling back then. We've got Two Fencers, Je vous aime, or Je vous aime. I don't remember that. The Wave, 1891. Men Boxing, 91. Dixon Greeting, 1891. Newark Athlete, 91. Escrime, or probably Scrimmage, or Escrime, 1890. Cheval Pasmonte, 1890. Monkey Shines, number 3, 1890. London's Trafalgar Square, 1890. Traffic in King's Road, Chelsea, 1890. Monkey Shines 1 and 2. Mosquina, Leisurely Pedestrians, Open-Topped Buses, and Handsome Cabs with Trotting Horses, 1889. Poor Piero, wow, this is a lot of words. Poor Piero, 1892. Life of an American Fireman, 1903. That was actually really good. I did like that because it was very, very well done. We got Nemec from 2019. This is a Yorgos Lanthimos short film. That was actually very good. Go check that out. We've got A Corner in Wheat, 1909. Kingdom of the Fairies, 1903. The Impossible Voyage, 1904. And then the first 2024 release movie that I watched this year. It does say 2023. It released in 2024 for general audiences on Hulu. That is Self-Reliance, the directorial debut of Jake Johnson from New Girl, and he had a small role in Jurassic World, but I really like this dude. He seems like such a chill dude, and this movie was very, very fun. It wasn't trying to reinvent itself or reinvent anything new in the genre that it was doing. It was just a fun, solid directorial debut, and I'm going to look out for what he does next. Sherlock Jr., 1924. Murders in the Rue Morgue, 1932. Man with the Movie Camera, 1929. This one's awesome. This one is, I believe it's actually an hour long. 68 minutes long. This one is very, very good. A cameraman wanders around with a camera slung over his shoulder, documenting urban life with dazzling inventiveness. And that is very, very accurate. If you're a fan of cinema in any way and you don't mind things that don't have real, true narrative storytelling, go check out Man with a Movie Camera. Sally Gardner at a Gallop, 1878. Passage of Venus, 74. The Musician Monkey, 1878. Magic Rosette, 1878. Dancing on the Rope, 78. Les Papillons, Zim Boom Boom, Le Jouk de Corde, La Charmeuse, Le Fumeur, La Trapeze, I'm probably pronouncing these all horribly, but whatever. Les Chines Savants, The Aquarium, La Rotissier, a guy who makes rotisserie chicken. The La Nagesi, Le Beau de Savane. Holy, I'm just going to scroll through these and you guys can see up on the screen here. I'm kind of getting tired of pronouncing these. Buffalo Running, New Bucking and Galloping, The Arrival of a Train at La Quetta, The Astronomer's Dream, Workers Leaving the Lumiere Factory, Haunted Castle, Annie Oakley, Sprinkler Sprinkled, Baby's Meal, The Kiss, Cabbage Patch Fairy, A Nightmare, Serpentine Dance, Snowball Fight, X-Ray Fiend, After the Snowball, Bewitched Inn, Serpentine Dance, Leaving Jerusalem by Railway, 1897, Washerwomen on the River, Cinderella. I'm just scrolling through. You guys can look at these other names because there's so many. Joan of Arc. How It Feels to Be Run Over. That one I actually remember quite a bit. The Infernal Cauldron, I remember that. How to Stop a Motor Car, I do remember that. Solar Eclipse from 1900. The Prince of Magicians, The Mermaid, Alice in Wonderland. I believe that was the first Alice in Wonderland on screen. Okay, I'll talk about this one. We've got a bunch of other, shorts leading up to 1904. And then I watched I Survived 9/11. This is a documentary. I believe it was about 45 minutes long on YouTube. It was a very interesting story. There's 3 people that talk about how they escaped the buildings, but one specifically I found just truly insane is a woman who I believe made it off of the 91st floor of one of the buildings to go 90 floors downstairs and, be able to talk about the story. It was very, very interesting. And that same night, I saw Godzilla -1 for the second or third time, I believe. And having watched the I Survived 9/11 video directly before Godzilla -1, it made Godzilla -1 for some reason more emotional for me. I don't know if I was... I must have subconsciously been comparing tragedy. Obviously, Godzilla isn't real, but it's taking place, directly after World War II when Japan was at its lowest. And yeah, it's just... I had an eerie feeling when I was watching Godzilla -1 after watching I Survived 9/11. It was just not necessarily that I have anything else to say about that. It was a weird observation that I made of my emotions. So I just thought it was interesting. After that, went back to watching all of these shorts, Vanishing Lady, Playing Cards, Annabelle Serpentine Dance, a hand opening and closing. The next actual movie that I watched will end up the month here. We got Stardust from 2007. I watched this because I'd never heard of this film before, and multiple people were telling me, oh yeah, if Argyle, well actually one person specifically, my friend Eric was telling me, I'm not worried about Argyle being rated PG-13 because of Stardust. Stardust was fun, and it's still kind of dark for what it is, and I'll say right now it's not a film for me, but it's got Charlie Cox and Robert De Niro. I can't freaking talk today. Charlie Cox, though, before Daredevil, just cool to see. The visuals are very well done, and now I've seen most, if not all but one film from Matthew Vaughn, so I'll eventually end up seeing Layer Cake. But yeah, I don't need to see Stardust again. I'm not opposed to watching it again, but it would for sure be a film that I fall asleep to. After that, Scooby-Doo from 2002. This is one of my favorite childhood gateway horror films. It spooked me as a kid. There were some elements of this film that, truly as a kid, I didn't like watching, but I love this movie now. The jokes really do hold up. Way more adults than I remembered. After that, The Beekeeper. Why am I talking like knockoff shitty Arnold? Anyways, Jason Statham, The Beekeeper. Not a good movie. I skimmed through the entire film. I was like, once I got through the first 20 minutes, I was like, I ain't doing it. I can't push myself to finish this. So I did have to skim. I watched a lot of the action sequences. They weren't up to Jason Statham par. I like seeing him kick ass, but lately with the Meg 2 and The Beekeeper, he's not kicking as much ass as I would like. And finishing off the month, I saw Godzilla -1 in black and white. This, so good. It's just so perfect. I've got my Godzilla poster right next to me. I kind of forgot about it, but I love this movie. I've said it before. I said it in my Godzilla review. I will end up purchasing the Blu-ray. I'll purchase the Steelbook. I'll purchase any form of Godzilla -1 that I can get my hands on. So this movie is probably going to be the 2023 release that I think about the most moving forward. And that's saying a lot considering we had Barbie and Oppenheimer and When Evil Lurks released this year. This is going to be one film that I'm going to remember it for a very, very long time. It's my favorite Godzilla film. It looks fantastic in black and white, and it's not just a cheap excuse to throw a filter over the film and put it back into theaters. No, they went through every single frame and adjusted the color accordingly. So it's perfect. Go check it out for yourselves. I can't wait for them to release the black and white version on whether it's streaming or whether they do that with the physical copy. I'm hoping they do, because if they got a steelbook with the 4K Blu-ray of this version and a steelbook of the 4K Blu-ray of the black and white, sign me up. But that's it. That's everything that I watched in the month of January 2024. Thank you for sticking around through the end of this video. Sorry that I've been mumbling the entire way. I will be sure to be on top of my what I watched for February, March, and the rest of this year. I've got some very cool videos planned. Go check out my 24 hours of watching A24 films if you haven't seen that. That's it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Carter Scotland Allen. I'll see you guys later. Peace.